Hey there, everybody. Some of you at GCDS have already recorded videos and want to get fancy with it. You want to add in moving pictures, videos, things flying around, text popping up, sound clips, music, all of that. And your brains are already saturated with so many tech tools. Well, how are we going to get this done? I have the answer for you. One of the products you can use is called Adobe Rush. You all have access to it at GCDS. You have access to it through what's called the Creative Cloud. Adobe is a company that makes products like Acrobat, which you use for PDFs all the time. If you've ever opened a PDF, you're probably using Acrobat. So we're going to use one of their products, somewhat similar to iMovie, that's called Adobe Rush. Here's a note for you. If you have a preferred software that you use to edit videos, just use that software. If you don't have one yet, I recommend Rush as a starting place. So, how do we open up Rush? How do we get our videos in there? And where do we go from here? Let's get started. We're about to get crazy meta here. If you've recorded a Screencastify and you want to throw this video into Adobe Rush, follow these steps. You may have already recorded a video. If you've found one that you've already recorded, you can press download on the right-hand side and then choose export as MP4. When you do that, you'll probably get a message that asks this question about converting to fixed frame rate. Well, we don't need to worry about that. We can press export. At the bottom right, you're going to see a bar that's measuring how long it takes to export that clip. While we're waiting for that clip to be exported to your computer, let's go ahead and open up Creative Cloud. I forgot to mention that at the end of the export process, you'll need to come back and press Download MP4, which you see at the bottom right of this screen here. That will download your movie clip to your computer. On a Windows computer, we're going to go over those instructions first. We'll press the Windows icon or go into the search bar here. I'm going to use the search bar as for this tutorial. And let's search for Creative Cloud, and you'll see that it shows up. You may need to type a few more words than that. If I click Creative Cloud and I'm signed in, I'm going to notice it loads, and I should see apps and things like that. You may get an update window that looks just like this. What we're going to do is I'm going to pause this clip. We're going to use all of this as an example of how to build transitions and throw images in there. We're going to pause this clip, and when it's done updating, we'll come back and we'll see what it's supposed to look like. Okay, now that we've opened Creative Cloud, we should be able to sign in. If you're already signed in, don't worry about this step. If you need to sign in, press Continue with Google. This is going to open up a tab in Google Chrome. Make sure that you're signed into Google Chrome to continue with these steps. Choose your email address. It'll say you're all set. And in a moment, we will be logged into Creative Cloud. You'll see a list of applications. You'll see your account will show up here in the top right if you click this little blue icon. But you're going to see a ton of Adobe applications. If you're a GCDS teacher, remember, you have access to every single Adobe app on here. You do not have to install them all. And in fact, if you tried to, your computer might not really be able to handle it. You'd need a massive workstation to get all of these things running. Adobe Premiere Rush is here, but if I couldn't find it, I could just search Rush. And wait a second, and I get apps. Adobe Rush has an app for your phone. We'll make tutorials about that later. But let's get ourselves set up with Adobe Rush on our computer. So I can click here. If I didn't have it, this blue button would ask me to download and install it, which I could do. I can see on the left-hand side of the Creative Cloud desktop that I can update different products that I have, like Photoshop and Illustrator. So I might want to click those and go ahead and update them. For now, what I'm going to do is go back down here. I can even minimize this. I don't really need it open. I can go down here and search for Rush. And here it is, Adobe Premiere Rush. I'll click and open it up, and we are on our way. Now that we've opened Adobe Premiere Rush, we can create a new project and put our video files together to merge, edit, and add overlaying text, images, and even video to our project. Let's go ahead and click the blue Create a New Project button at the top left. You'll see a project name open up at the bottom. I'm going to give this name Rush Tutorial. On the left-hand side, you'll see a navigation bar. I can go through different folders by clicking these different areas, such as downloads, documents, and whatnot. And I can choose different pieces to assemble into a video. So I can see these clips appear on my screen. This is in my downloads folder. The videos you're looking for might be somewhere else. If you need to find them, you can either look up at the top of your screen to make sure that you're in the right folder, or on the left-hand side. You can click through different folders. Now that we see our video clips in this folder, I can choose which clips I want to bring in. In addition to that, I can choose what order I would like to bring these clips in. So I can click this, it will give it a number 1. This might be the second clip I want to bring in. Don't worry so much about the order that you're bringing these, by the way. You can always change them. Let's pretend I needed to switch these two. I could click each of these and then change them around. You'll notice at the bottom of our project here that a small icon appears and it shows those movie clips being put in the order that you see here. Once we create our project by clicking the blue Create button at the bottom right of our screen, we will be able to take all of these clips and put them together. Let's go ahead and press the blue button that says Create. The Preparing Media screen will disappear, and now we will have our actual video clip to scroll through. There's a blue line with an arrow pointing down. This is called the playhead. I can drag this and scroll through our video. I can drag it forwards and backwards, and if there's a particular point that I want to zero in on, I can use those sequence tools to zoom in or out on that particular point in our video. So as I'm zooming in closer and closer to exactly this point. And as I drag it backward, you'll notice that I have fewer frames as I'm going left to right than when I zoom all the way out. And notice how much faster I'm scrolling now. If I want to rearrange the clips in my project, I can click any of them in the timeline down here. Notice how there's a start and an end orange line on each of these clips. Right now I have 5 clips. What if I want to move this one after this clip? Well, I can simply click in the middle and drag the entire thing in my timeline. And notice how these video clips start pushing around. If I let go, in between these two, I've just flipped the order. Now, in our particular case, that would not be the correct order for these, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back here. If I want to add another video to the end of our timeline, I can press the plus sign at the top left to add media. I can add different types of media, including a voiceover of different parts of my video. I'm going to choose media this time, and I can navigate the different folders if I use the media browser to find the exact video clip that I'm looking for. I can press add, or I can just drag it where I want it to go in our timeline. Notice how when I drag it here, it looks like it's about to replace video clips. If you want to drag it into a particular order in your timeline, you can just drag and let go. Now let's say that's not where I wanted to put it. I can use the tools I just practiced before to click this and drag it over to the left-hand side, let go, and here we are. What if you make a mistake? It looks as though I just added the same clip twice. Well, you can remove a clip just by clicking it, making sure those orange bars are around it, and pressing the delete key on your keyboard, and it's gone. Let's say you want to add another clip over here. You can close and reopen that media at any point and just practice using that tool to drag in your video clips. There will be different points in your video where you realize that you want to trim or cut out parts. So let's show you how to do that. As I'm scrolling through my clip in Rush, I might notice that this point in the video I can cut out. So I drag my playhead where I want it to go, and I can either press the letter S, or I can go up to my clip menu and press split. Now I have two clips, one here and this much shorter one. If I want to get rid of this clip entirely, I can just press the delete key on my keyboard. The space between this and this clip has now been removed completely. If I want to cut out something from the middle of a clip, I can do the exact same thing. So maybe there's space here that I want to remove. So I can drag my playhead here, press the letter S or go up to clip and then split. And maybe I drag it just a little bit further this way. I can press the letter S, and notice how this small clip in between these two is now selected. I can just press the delete key and it disappears. I want to add a red arrow pointing somewhere on our screen. I want to add in an image on top of the video that's playing here. How can I do it? Well, if I go to the media browser and I find wherever that red arrow is, I just happen to download one. You can download a picture of any kind that you want to drag on top of a clip, and I can click and just drag it down. And notice how I'm not dragging it directly on top of the clip, I'm putting it above the clip where I want it to be. So let's say here. So my video plays and all of a sudden this red arrow appears, but it's too large, it's not pointing at the right place. I can adjust that pretty easily. If I find this image up above, I can click it and notice how when I scroll the playhead over this area and click it one more time, I should be able, oh, I'm sorry, I have to click the actual image itself. These blue dots appear. And as I drag these blue dots, I can shrink and grow the image here. I can actually rotate it, so if I need the arrow to point somewhere, I can do that. And I can place this wherever I need it to go. If I need that image to stay on screen a little bit longer than it is by default, which I think is something like 4 seconds, what I can do is zoom in, find these orange bars, and drag them to make them last longer, or I can make them last shorter. Let's say I want to add an image and then add a voiceover to that image. So I'm going to go up to the blue plus sign at the top left and click Media. This will open up my sidebar. I can navigate to the folder that I want, though this image does happen to be right on the desktop, and choose it. And what I'm going to do is, instead of just choosing it and pressing Add, which will add it to the very end of this timeline, I'm going to drag it where I want it to go. So I'll take the image and drag it here. Notice how small this image is. Just be aware of that as you're dragging these around, that things can get lost very easily if you're not careful where you're placing them. I'm going to add the image right here. So notice how quickly that disappeared. I'm going to scroll back a little bit here. This is where I added my image. This is where it's really helpful to zoom in. So you can, again, go up to sequence and then zoom in, or like I prefer to do, use the plus sign and just zoom. Notice how there's this clip that's sitting here. Well, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. There's a clip that's sitting here that is just a picture, right? Now, there's a step I forgot to mention in our tutorial that I need to voice over. It's this download button right here in the bottom right corner. What I'm going to do is drag this clip a little bit longer. I think I'm going to need a little bit more time to say what I need to say. I grab that orange bar and I stretch, and look at how it's pushing the next clip and all the ones behind it. It pushes them over, and everything sort of locks together. Now, I'll put my playhead at the start of this picture, and then I can go up to the plus sign and choose Voiceover. Now, a track opens up here. I can tap to record this red circle. So, I'll click the red circle and I'm going to start recording. Here we go. Back and we'll see what it's supposed to look like. Don't forget to click Download MP4 at the bottom right. Okay. So, if I go back, we can press play. Don't forget to click Download MP4 at the bottom right. And you can see that I've now added a voiceover to that clip. I can add transitions in between clips using the tools on the top right corner of my screen. I can hover over this two white arrows inside a box pointing to each other, and I see transitions. There's also a shortcut, Control-2, on my Windows keyboard to open this up. By default, there are several different transitions here. Cross dissolve, dip to black, dip to white, and none. Let's say I want to do cross dissolve. I can drag and drop in between clips, just like that, and before you know it, you'll see those clips fade into one another. What if I want to do dip to black? Well, I can kind of hover over these clips and see that white line that's appearing. It's kind of hard to see from where we are, but notice where my mouse is going. There's a white line. It automatically drags and drops whatever transition I need to where that is. So I'm just going to press play here, and you can watch it fades to black. Let's do one more. See this one? This will be dropped right here. Your video clips. And that's a fade to white. If I want to remove one of those transitions, you may very well need to zoom in. So I'm going to press that plus sign, zoom in, and here it is. I can click this transition, press delete, and it is gone. If you'd like to add in text anywhere in your Rush project, go to the top right corner and hover over this thing that says Titles. Control-1 is the keyboard shortcut on Windows. I'm going to click Titles, and a number of options pop out here. You'll notice that there are more titles that you can get from Adobe stock. But for now, I'm going to focus on just the part that says Your Styles. I can click this drop down and also look through other filters when I get more advanced, but I just want to start with some basics. I can drag and drop any of these titles directly on top of my clips. So here's one called Basic Lower Third. I'm going to click and drag, and you'll see this kind of purplish bar show up. It looks a lot like an image that we're dropping on top of our clips. Rather than drag it here, I'm going to drag it up on top where I would normally drag an image layer. I can also choose, if I want to do multiple layers, to drag it up one further. So now I have another layer on top here. Let's find the playhead. I can click in this gray area and I see title, subtitle. I'm going to click this purple bar that's just appeared and try and edit the title by double clicking and typing a new title here. New title. On the right hand side, you'll see there's a font option. I can change to any of these fonts, and I can also get more from our Adobe fonts selection. I can change the font style. I can change the size. I should probably highlight the text in order to show this. Okay, I can do that. I can change the color of the text to whatever I'd like. I can change it and add an outline to this text and increase the size of that outline. I can add a drop shadow if I'd like. Change the opacity. I can change the spacing between the characters. The line spacing. Oh, that's not actually going to affect anything in this particular demo. But I can go down here to the subtitle, click that, type something new, new subtitle, and do the exact same thing. If I don't like the title that I have here, I can always click and press delete just like I would on any other section of this video. If I want to extend or change where and how long this title appears, I can zoom in using my plus key. I can grab the edges, stretch it out for longer, stretch it out for a shorter amount of time, and adjust it just like that. When we're ready to export this amazing movie to YouTube or share it with somebody else, all we need to do is go to the top of Premiere Rush and press Share. This is going to open up a menu that has a bunch of different options. I prefer to export my movies locally and then upload them to YouTube. However, I could connect directly to my YouTube account and upload that way. On the right-hand side, I can see File Name. I can rename this file right now and call it Premiere Rush Full Tutorial. I can choose where I'm exporting this video. I can click that and change where it's going. If I press the advanced settings, there's even more. And at the bottom right, I can press Export. My video will now render and then be ready to publish as soon as this timer gets down to 0. Once your movie is done exporting and rendering, it will be saved to whatever location you chose before. Let's say you don't remember where it was saved. If you press View in Explorer and just hover over it, it will show you the file path. I can see it's in my Documents folder, but if I click View in Explorer, well, that opened up in another window. Here we go. There it is, Premiere Rush Full Tutorial. This is the exact video that I can grab and just drag into YouTube where I normally upload videos. But in case we've forgotten how to do that, we're going to go ahead and open up a new window. Let's go to YouTube, press the camera icon and upload video. This window will pop up, and that is exactly where we are going to upload our Premiere Rush full tutorial by just dragging and dropping it right there. You'll notice that my video is 20 minutes long. Now, if you have not yet verified your YouTube account for a video that's over 15 minutes long, make sure that you follow the tutorial I made about that. But all you'll need to know is to just go to youtube.com/verify. That's youtube.com/verify. And from here, you'll follow those steps. Once you've verified your account, you'll see that it's already done, and you're good to go.